So I had an individual that came in and they wanted to sign up for jiu-jitsu. The only concern they had was they weren't sure if they were in shape enough. So they said they wanted to lose 5 pounds and get a little bit more fit, more cardio. That's when I realized there's a problem. No one should feel that way. Jiu-jitsu is supposed to improve your life. You shouldn't feel like you have to be physical in order to do jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is a language. Trujitsu is the most fluent way of speaking that language. Jiu-jitsu is for everybody. Not everybody believes that anymore. That's where Trujitsu came in.
So is it too early for you to say, or I'm still trying to wrap my head around Tru Jitsu. Do you envision this as there being various Tru Jitsu schools around the country, around the world, or is it an online training place, or is it just too early to see where it's headed?
You know, I mean, that's the most honest question that really I hope comes out. The Tru Jitsu revolution started with basically the need for let's prove that you don't have to be aggressive to be good at jiu-jitsu. That's like the you know, the first thing that I hope to accomplish. Now where it goes, it's kind of evolving. Nothing has been planned, but I will tell you this: what I hope is I hope to see more people using these concepts because it'll keep them in the game. So I don't care what instructor you are, I don't care who you are. Hopefully this is something that benefits you. The website that we have, the Tru Jitsu Revolution, there's blogs, there's free content, there's videos that we've been really good at not putting any school logos on there. And even where I'm from, John Jack, I told him, hey, you know, I'm not putting any school logos because it's not about a school. It's about proving that jiu-jitsu is for everybody. Because, I mean, in all fairness, a lot of gyms, not that CrossFit and not that lifting weights is bad, but you know, you're seeing a trend where the gym's here and then the weights are there. Now, to me, what that's doing is it's starting to make jiu-jitsu physical. And you know, who's to say that 5-10 years from now, less people are going to feel like they can do jiu-jitsu because it's more physical. So, and again, you know, I'm getting older and I have to go against people half my age. Matter of fact, some tournaments, you know, I'm looking at a guy and he's younger than my son. And the whole point of what I want people to see is that you can do well without being the stronger person. You can do well without being the physical person. So the first thing that needs to be accomplished by this Jiu-Jitsu revolution is people believe that. Then hopefully that'll make them go do Jiu-Jitsu wherever they are. If they're on, you know, the other side of the world, whatever, but they see, oh, old man did it, it works. I'm going to do it. You know, and you know, that's, so those of you with gray hair, this is for you. I think what'll hopefully happen is maybe it will be a program people can, you know, can dial into and support a little bit, because you know, when my retirement is done, when I won the lotto, by the way, so I'm paying for everything. Right. Yeah, I was that lotto, that Powerball winner. When I run out of money, then I might have to like say, hey, pay $5 and I'll help you out more. Right. But until then, everything's free, and hopefully for the greater good, it just it makes jiu-jitsu better for everybody. You know. Awesome. So that's what I want.
Well, it sounds like it's about time to take a look at the physical side of Tru Jitsu.
Yay.
So Matt, I know you like back attacks. You made a DVD, an on-demand video on back attacks. How has those progressed with the Tru Jitsu movement?
Well, yeah, every goal that you have in jiu-jitsu should, in my opinion, should be to take someone's back, because no matter how strong the legs are, no matter how big their arms are, those are things, if you attack those limbs, sometimes they can power out of stuff, but everyone's neck works the same. So that's kind of the ultimate goal, take their back and go for a choke. What we've done, you know, with Tru Jitsu in that system is we work on controlling the most important part of the body. And even though the over and under is really, really good, really valuable, the movement comes from the hips. So one of the main ways that we've been taking the back for a long time is what we call a hex grip. So in a hex grip, you know, you're basically controlling someone's hip from a turtle position. Okay. So there's several ways someone can end up in a turtle. You know, if you try to pass their guard, they oftentimes get to a turtle. Someone does a level change and they try to, you know, take you down. You sprawl, they end up here. So you know that when you get them here, when they're in this position, this is where the fight should end. So, you know, what I want to point out, this is good. This is an over and under, and you know, you grab the lapel, but if you'll notice this line, you know, imagine the line, you know, like the button of a shirt. There's an imaginary line. When my weight or anything on this side is hanging over Jake, then he has a chance to play with my body weight. He has a chance to do something. So every move that we do, we basically look at it like, well, this is great, but does this give my opponent a chance to fight back? And unfortunately, when I'm here, they could trap my arm, my weight suspended over. This could be an issue. And you know, there's a lot of guys that will actually look for that opportunity. So the difference with a hex grip is my hand is here. This is the big difference. So I'm cupping the inside thigh. And if you'll notice, my weight is on this side and my foot is actually an anchor here. So this right here is already one hook. So I really already have my opponent's back. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my outside leg there. And when I do that movement, I've already pulled Jake towards me. This hand is already going here. So I already have the choke. So it's a 3-second choke, if not faster. So now while they're focusing on the hook, your hand goes to the lower lapel. And it's done. So it doesn't really matter who you are. If you let someone get that hook, then, you know, they're still human. So the answer is don't let them get a hex grip on you.
That comes quick when you smack my leg with your shin.
Yeah, just here, tip. You know, I mean, if the person's bigger, then, you know, there's not going to be an issue for you because you're on this side. Mm-hmm. So if they try to roll away, then, you know, you're going to trap the leg. So, you know, for example, if you're here, and let's say you're an ultra heavyweight, and your knees are wide, and you drop low, you know, then, you know, it might be a little bit harder. I might, you know, have to do a little bit more push. If I need more pull, my hand will go here, there. So, you know, I can use a mat to help, you know, the pull back. But your hand that's here always finds its way to the lapel. You know, if you need points, then replace your hand with your foot, kick, there's your 4. But if you just want to finish the fight, then it should happen, you know, right off the bat. Okay?
It's really nice.
So it's simple, and it controls the hip without the problem. The next thing that happens though, because, you know, once people are aware of the hex, then they start blocking. So, you know, if a person's blocking, you know, then you can go to the next setup where, let me move you this way a little bit, Jake, because this is going to happen too. If I'm here and I'm trying to put my hand, basically, then when they know that you're doing that, good, then just keep fumbling your hand. Because when their hand is blocking here, the lapel is easier to grab. So him defending the hex grip makes him more susceptible for this lapel grip. Now, everyone's familiar with the clock choke, but the thing I want to point out with the clock choke that, you know, what I found is that it's harder to do when the person is bigger than you. It's harder to do if they have a strong back and they can pop their head up. So, and there's generally a delay. So when I'm here and I'm doing a clock choke, if I put my arm here for control, or I grab, I start stepping, it's usually, you know, a little bit of a reaction time that the person has to get out of the clock choke. So instead of doing a clock choke, you know, from here, go ahead and put your hand right there, because that's kind of where we started. Once my hand is here, you know, the hex grip wasn't available, that's why I went here. But this is a modified version of a clock choke. So what I do is I just put my hand here, and there should be no time. Here, there, and you jump. So specifically what I'm doing is where I'm jumping, I have the lapel. My hip and rib is going right where my arm is making contact. So it's right where Jake's, you know, collar, the upper part of his collarbone would be. So, and my hand being here helps me pick my weight up. And instead of doing a clock choke thing where you're stepping and they're turning and following you, there's really no time for that. So the choke is already going to happen before it's happening right now. So right at this point, if you land, you better let go if it's your friend. Because I don't want you mad at me, but
that one comes on fast.
Yeah, it's more like a guillotine. But I think it's nicer.
Yeah, no, I've seen a variation similar to that, but not one that comes on instantly like that one. That's a really nice variation. And I can't imagine if you had even more weight on you, how much more devastating that would be.
Yeah, when you're doing that, you really want to be nice. Like, I loosen up because ultimately it's going to give someone a big hickey, and when they go home, their wife might be thinking, hey, there's a jiu-jitsu player. Can't have that. So be cool.
Matt, let me ask you, what if the guy is ultra defensive and maybe I'm up on points and I'm covering up completely? What do you do from there?
The first thing I want to point out is chill. Because again, everything in the jiu-jitsu system that we're talking about is all about every move counts. Every move works for you and not for them. So if they're balling up, realize that I have to keep pressure on you. Because if I give you freedom of movement, that's when you're going to go back to your guard. You're going to do all that. So if you're in a point where you are just balling up, then it depends on the scenario, because this is when you're going into like, okay, well, is he trying to ball up to where there's only 30 seconds left and he's up on a point, or is he actually trying to maybe look for the opportunity to go to his side and establish a guard? So the thing that I would say though, when someone's balling up, what I generally go to next is I try to play off of their response, kind of like a Jedi mind trick. When you're here and you're balling up, then I'm going to try to make you think that I want you to stay there. So this might be a little rough, so don't get mad, but we're friends. So if I can't hex, I can't get the hex grip here, I can't get a lapel choke, then I'm going to put my hand right here. And where I'm putting my hand is I'm just trying to put it in a position where I can, push on your head. And what I'm doing now, and at this point, if you'll notice, to be specific and consistent, my weight actually is over Jake right now. And the reason why it's okay is because, again, what are you doing right now? You're just trying to ball up. You're just, super defensive. You're not doing anything. So I'll actually take a little bit of a chance to see if you'll move. And again, if you don't, then that's where this move comes into play. So my weight hanging over your body is actually baiting you. I'm trying to get you to move a little bit so I can go to one of the other two tacks that we just did. But if not, we're still here. My hand that normally was on the mat, I actually put it back to your leg. Okay? And then I'm pushing here. And the concept of framing, there's 3 different levels of framing. One is where you're just pushing. And that's irritating enough. That's, that's putting weight. That's making the person feel like, man, you're just trying to stuff their head, make their head go to the ground. The other is when you put your elbow to your rib. That makes your arm stronger and more, there's more pressure. If I'm going against someone that's a lot heavier, only if they're a lot heavier and I just need to, not if it's someone in class, I'll actually put my weight on my elbow. So, again, I don't encourage it unless you're really trying to, you really need to, because it's not very kind. But the whole point of what I'm getting at is that I'm putting pressure, and eventually your opponent's going to move. When they start to move and pop up, before they go up, let's go back a little bit, you'll feel it first because you're connected. Your hand is sensing what's going on. And I'm using my hand on the leg, so when I feel like Jake is ready to pop up before, I'll slow it down a little, then I'll throw my leg over. And my hand that was normally here, it just goes to here. So you're popping your head up is what I originally needed to begin with, to get the lapel. Now this hand that we can't see, I just grabbed the bottom of the pant leg, and where you go from there, it's not, there's not really a way to not get choked at this point. It's kind of done. So, all here, there, wrap, sorry.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But it's playing off of, their response. So your original intent was just to ball up, so then I'm going to make you feel like, okay, I want you to stay there, please. And then it's like, well, now that the person wants me there, I better move. And then that's when it's irritating.
Oh no, that was a lot of pressure too.
It gets the job done, so I owe you a burrito now.
No, that was great jokes. Now let's flip it. How about from the guard? Is there anything you want to show from the guard today?
Yes. Well, we mentioned the line. When you button up a shirt, that's a good visual, way to think of it. But what I try to do, especially with people that, if I have someone that's a newer student, or even this works at all levels. But if you keep in mind someone going forward, how often, when the arm goes here, is it comfortable to go forward anymore?
No.
It's not, because you have one weak side. So one of the objectives that I try to do with jiu-jitsu is try to compromise one arm. Try to get one arm to go past, not a big move, because if you do a big move, then you're telegraphing. It's just a matter of getting that hand across this plane.
Across the center line.
Yes, exactly. And less is more. Like sometimes the biggest problem that people have is they actually do too much of a move and the person adjusts. So even though the arm might be here, they've actually, they've adjusted their hips or they've turned a certain way where it counters that. So you want to be subtle. You want to be tricky. Do like horseshoes. Not too much, not too little, just enough. So, from a closed guard, we'll just do it from that position because I think it's probably one of the easiest ways to get the point across. This applies to a lot of guards. So, just for this example that I think everybody should have a good closed guard, the first thing I want to point out is what you're doing with your legs.
Squeezing really tight.
Yeah, so if you go, you should always be doing that. And the reason being is because you're connecting your body or their body with your legs. And that's going to be very valuable as opposed to trying to use your hips to move them. So now, if I was a younger individual, the way that generally would happen, someone physical, is they would try to pull, and then try to force. Someone a little bit more older, that's more calm, that's when they do the 2-on-1. So, here and then they pull and then break down across. To add a little bit more effectiveness, bumping your hips. So squeeze and then bump. And then, again, do enough. Try not to make it too big of a move. So I don't want to go here. I want to that's the best scenario. And now what I do with my legs is I pull in. And then as I pull, I'm opening, but notice I'm still pinching. So here, there's my adjustment. And it's that accordion movement. We call this accordion plane. But you're using your legs. And before you know it, you already are in range to have their back or start to do, something. You have them at a bad angle.
Right.
So now, that's one of the moves that's very applicable to jiu-jitsu. Now, where this comes into play, when your opponent knows that you want the arm to go across, because it's very common, it's an arm drag. You're just basically moving the arm over. Now it's a matter of how do you get the person to fall for it. So people don't fall for things, especially when they're really simple. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bait your arm across. You're not letting your arm. If I say, hey, can I have your arm go here? I'll give you $200 if you let me grab.
Sure.
Yeah. maybe with this economy. Yeah, but the thing is that in most cases no one will ever fall for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in a move that no one has any, a lot of people don't respect. I'm just going to put a regular scissor sweep in. But that move is going to provide a result. I can't move my opponent, so I'm moving myself to my opponent. In other words, I'm basically just baiting them in. So a squeeze of the legs, I open. I'm going to hip out. My knee goes in. But now what I do from here is I act as if I want to sweep. There. He defends, because everybody does, but I switch the grip. Now, from here, unless they back away from you, which 9 times out of 10 they don't, they come forward, and as they come forward, the arm, again, is across the chest, and now you have them in that bad position again. And what we do from here, that's another hour. There's so many options from here. The whole point is I got the arm now across the chest, and I use a simple scissor sweep to do it.
You move yourself rather than moving me.
Yeah, so to elaborate on it, your hand's making contact here. That's what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And then there we go. Just, I disguised it in the form of the scissor sweep to make it happen.
Right.
So.
Yeah, very cool stuff, Matt. Thank you for sharing today.
Well, simplicity is success. There's different levels of technique, and this is a few of 1,000 different scenarios. So, but what I will point out when people are training is that if a step has or a technique has too many steps, to be more specific, then there's a lot of opportunities for it to go wrong. So the moves that we did here, they're like 2-3 step moves, and it's not on accident, because success is hand in hand with simplicity. The more complicated you make a move, the less likely it's going to work with someone that's really good. I mean, when you're aiming to go against the most physical, the most athletic, the strongest, the most advanced players, then that's why things get scaled down. That's where your success is going to be at. So that's one trap people fall into, and watch for the red flags, because they're the ones that are there to fool you.
Awesome. Matt, if people want to find out more about you and your school and Tru Jitsu, where can they go?
The Tru Jitsu Revolution. So the Tru Jitsu. Tru Jitsu doesn't have an E in it, so it's TRUJITSU. You might see an E somewhere in there. That's because we play around just to confuse people. But the website's the trujitsurevolution.com. There's also Facebook too, Tru Jitsu on Facebook and Instagram. But there's a lot of content on there that it's free. Have fun with it for everybody, coaches, instructors. Anybody that wants jiu-jitsu to get better, well, that's the whole point of this. So let's make it work for people of all ages.
Awesome.
So
congratulations on everything.
Thank you very much. It's been a privilege to be here.
Thanks.
So.
Okay, thanks for watching today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode of This Week in BJJ. We'll be back next time with another episode. If you like this content, please like it, comment, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.